Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Chat with Lindsey and Neely.
I'm back.
You're back. Yay!
I'm here.
You last week. Yeah, there was someone that commented that because you were gone, I was required to go for 2 hours to make up.
Well, I feel like because you went a solid hour, right? You did an hour. I feel like you're responsible for 30 minutes worth of conversation, and I'm responsible for 30 minutes. So really, you did do double.
I feel like I did. It was a lot of talking.
Did your voice need like a solid 2-day vocal rest break?
But there was some good conversation, a lot of comments, and
Yeah.
So I told the viewers that they were my co-host.
Aww.
It worked out. It worked out great.
Well, and realistically, everybody here that participates is a co-host with us. They're not on camera at the same time as us. So
yeah, they are an essential part.
Yeah. We've already proven that y'all can do this without Lindsey. It's fine. But we can't do it without y'all.
Lindsey. Chris is here. First
Howdy.
At least that I see. Robin is here.
Hi, Robin.
Charlotte is here and Ellie is here. Hello. Rick Wynn, good morning. Eclectic Cabin is here. Sing It is here. Wants to know what's in our cups. I know by the emojis.
Of course. Do you have a cup?
I do. Well, kind of. You go first.
Okay, so this one has black coffee, the remnants from the pot from this morning. And then I have another beverage because I am dying of thirst today. Today I've got Endless Summer Salty.
Yeah, that's a good one for this time of year where summer is ending.
I've started to discover, the flavors that are not like my top-notch flavors, they're actually kind of like inching up and like, yeah, I'll totally go for that right now. And it's not even like a dragging my feet, like, I guess I'll drink that one. No, it's Endless Summer has definitely grown on me.
Yeah. And sometimes just variety is nice. So
that's true.
Just because we like one thing the best doesn't mean that we want that every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of have a cup because it's a.
What is that?
I know. Well, I had my coffee like an hour ago and I was like,
sure.
I don't feel like another one right now. I don't think you know what that's like. I don't know that you've ever experienced that feeling.
I have. One time when I was pregnant.
One time. Oh, yeah. Pregnancy does some bizarre things. Yeah, so I didn't really feel like another coffee. And I don't know, didn't feel like mixing up electrolytes. So I just grabbed this. And I still have the old packaging of Zevia because I found it at grocery outlet for cheap. And I stocked up. So I'm still sporting the old packaging, which I don't mind.
No, you're not sporting the old packaging. You're sporting the classic.
Classic. Yeah, classic. This is classic Zevia.
It feels better when it's said classic or vintage,
Yeah, old.
It's more bougie that way. Instead of that was one of them there dusty cans out in the back of the warehouse we found up.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that? You like that one pretty good, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Oh, watching on the treadmill. Love that.
Oh,
very good. Getting some steps in. Haley is here.
Hello.
Ooh, Robin says, seeing Chris in the chat always reminds me I need to place my chow order. Yep. Don't forget, we have links with discounts
attached to the link.
If you need a discount of 10% on non-subscription orders, check our video descriptions for our links.
Well, mine's not currently updated to mine, so it's currently updated to Neely's.
Shoot. Didn't do that on purpose.
No, it doesn't. It's just like the way that the system is set up, like it automatically populates the description that you've got in there. So then I go back in later and change mine on my channel. When I remember.
We should work on a combined like default description of our coffee chat so that you don't have
I
to
mean, I really don't mind. It's not that big a deal.
All right. Well, behind the scenes peek to the lives of YouTubers.
Indeed. Indubitably.
Chris says, "Woo, salty."
That's right. That's
And
right. Someday
yeah.
we'll actually have t-shirts that say salty on it, I hope.
I don't know.
I would be very much appreciative of a t-shirt with the salty logo on it someday.
You know
It's
what I
fine.
would be appreciative of someday? Our
Huh?
photo shoot from KetoChow.
Oh
You
my
know, I'm
goodness.
looking forward to those pictures that we
Yeah.
modeled so hard for.
I mean, my
Just
model sesh was not hard work, but that's probably why they couldn't actually get me solid photos out of it.
you do it so naturally.
My fear was that I probably just sat there and moved way too much. Way too much.
You know, this is what we know about Lindsey.
It's fair and real and true.
and I'm afeared that I stood too still and looked too awkward. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do.
So my little avatar on my channel, like my little picture of me, and then it's the same picture that's for our live stream thumbnail thing and whatnot, and it's just kind of like what I've done as my avatar for right now. So I took that picture of me and I updated everything, right? Yesterday Jared asks me, "Hey, do you think we could do like a headshot of me?" And then he's like, "Wait a minute, maybe I have a picture that you could already use." And so he starts thumbing through his phone to find a picture of himself, and I'm like, he shows me a picture and it has his sunglasses right here on his eyebrows. And it's the front facing camera from his phone, and it's not great lighting conditions, so it's a very granular picture. And he was like, "What can you do with that one?" And I was like, that's not it.
Does he need it for his YouTube channel thumbnail? Like he need a headshot at this moment. Is he getting invited on a podcast? He needs to send over a headshot.
I don't quite remember exactly what he needed it for. It's irrelevant. Like that would be interesting information, but that's not the funny part.
I just thought that, you know, maybe we had a Jared YouTube channel to look forward to.
No, I highly doubt that that's in the works. And if it is in the works, it's been kept secret from me as well. But so I find a picture. We went to the Outer Banks this past week, and so I found a picture of us that I had taken of us together, and then I just worked a little bit of, Photoshop magic, and then I gave him back a picture, and I was like, "This would be an appropriate type of headshot."
Yes, I love it.
Why did we start talking about that? Irrelevant. Okay, we're moving forward.
Else.
Oh, the pictures, the photo shoot pictures.
Yes.
But I did tell Jared, like, if we need to sit you down and do a full on photo shoot, I'm willing to take the time to do that for you, because I think it would be so funny.
That would be awesome. Miriam is here. Hello, Miriam.
Hey, Miriam.
Chris says that he and Miriam are in Canada right now. No,
they're not. They're in Canada.
Yeah, visiting places she lived when she was here. That sounds so fun. We had some downtime, so we're here for the live stream. Yay! Yeah, I watched part of their live stream from last night from Canada.
Okay.
Live from Canada.
It's the KetoChow.
Low Carb Spin is here. Hello. I have a video coming out in the next couple of days where I made
proud of you.
One of their recipes.
Oh.
Yeah, video. It's not even done because it's not fully edited yet, but it is filmed. Anyways, I made a teaser. I made their keto sourdough bread.
Ooh. I can't wait to watch, because I will watch that. I won't hear it. It's not a podcast, Lindsey. We'll do one of these and one of these.
Yes. But so look forward to that.
This
And
is the kind of
no
quality
spoilers.
entertainment y'all have paid to participate in.
Yeah.
You got exactly what you paid for on that one.
Okay, Lynette is here. Yay.
I think I also desperately need copies of the pictures that I got to take with Lynette and with Holly, and then with Lynette and Holly and Neely and Chris and Miriam and all of y'all.
Yep. We
It
have
has a
like
sadness hole in my heart.
photos of the photos being taken.
That's true. We do have those. It's an inception photo.
Programs. Yes. Yes. Let's see. Sing It is asking, what's the chow flavor of the day up there? That would be good to know. What flavors are they traveling with?
Oh, yeah. Have chow will travel.
Yes. Chris says we didn't know what the situation would be in the kitchen, like kitchen wise, or or if we would even have a refrigerator in the hotel rooms. So we didn't bring any keto chow with us.
That's sort of like a tough spot to be in when you're like, I know that I've got this, but I also do require a little bit of like a kitchen potential. Like I do need some place to store
Yeah.
these so that they can stay food safe once they're mixed. But that is always a tricky thing.
Yeah.
I I did not take any of the keto chow with me on my trip out to the Outer Banks, but I did bring a full bag of salty, and we
Necessary.
we had many and much of the salties.
Yes. Yes. Very necessary. Oh, Blaze is here.
Hi, Blaze.
Hello. And Low Carb Spin says, hope it was a win for you. No spoilers. Like and
Turn on
subscribe.
notifications.
Hopefully it'll come out sometime this week. So it's coming. If anybody has any questions for us, pop them in the chat. I don't have a big topic to, get everyone worked up
Chat
over this.
about.
So if you have any questions, let us know. Okay, so Chris says it is possible to do keto chow with zero refrigeration. I've done it when camping before and it was okay. Yeah.
Okay is the key
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're camping and you have like a fire or a stove, I would do it warm,
Oh,
or
absolutely.
lukewarm probably
We had
or whatever.
yeah, we did the Coco Locos a few nights in the evenings as like sort of a wind down hot chocolate situation on
Mhm.
top of the regular ones during the day.
Nice. Yep. And then if you have access to ice, you can do it,
Yeah, yeah. But
get it a little cooled off a bit, but it is hard without the refrigeration, and you don't want to do butter if you don't have any kind of blender, refrigeration, all that. You want to stick with heavy fat
yeah,
probably,
I
or
mean,
powdered fat.
if you only had butter, or if I only had butter and no way to blend it well, then I think what I would wind up doing is I would wind up just mixing up the keto chow without the butter and just I would eat the butter.
Oh
Like,
yeah, like big bites of butter in between.
yeah. I think that's what I would do. Yeah.
Sound very pleasant to me. Still,
Don't
but I understand it would be better than having chunks of butter in the keto chow.
don't yuck my yum, Neely. Okay.
I just said it doesn't sound very pleasant to me.
Sure.
Uh, have you ever tried the trend of eating straight butter? The thing that you do on Instagram to make everybody go crazy?
So I started eating just pats of butter when I was just knee high to a grasshopper at Mexican restaurants when they would bring out pats of butter between wax paper. And
Interesting. So you did it
I
before it was cool.
I was a butter lover before I knew Paula Dean's name.
Dang. Yeah, Paula Deen, she's the original.
Nope, it's me.
Yeah.
As a wee little child, about,
Wow.
probably 4 or 5,
Okay.
being told you're going to get sick eating all that butter. So then I would occasionally I would slather it onto a tortilla chip just to make everybody else at the table feel better about
I don't
it.
know that I've experienced a Mexican restaurant that served butter like that. Like,
Oh
butter
gosh.
doesn't be a Mexican food thing.
Are you saying that the Mexican food does not have butter? And
No,
you're
I'm
like,
just
sure.
like, you
It's
bring
not a
hot
common
butter
I
with, like,
agree.
a thing of bread. What are you supposed to put the butter on at the Mexican restaurant?
Um, I don't know why they had the butter, to be honest.
That's just I've never experienced a Mexican restaurant. Which
I
Mexican
feel
restaurant
like
was this?
you know how sopapillas, like you can either have them savory or you can have them sweet, where you like pinch the corner off and you put butter in it and then you drizzle it with honey.
Oh,
I
nice. Okay.
It possibly could have been because of sopapillas rather than the chips, but honestly, I was just there to eat the butter.
Right, right. Makes sense. You were keto at heart before keto
I
even
mean,
was a thing.
it's just an innate state of being for me, I suppose.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Hubby likes a keto chow with all avocado oil, but would still want it iced. Yeah, and that avocado oil, I've never actually tried it with avocado oil because I've never been in a place where I didn't have cream or butter as an option. So I'm like, if I
I
have
mean, that's
peanut
fair.
butter, why would I do anything else? But yeah, definitely that travels well.
Way better.
It's, way better than butter or cream. So
Yeah.
definitely a
When
good option.
when we did our big, month-long road trip back in May, I didn't take butter with me. We did have a little bit of cream just from like clearing out the fridge, but that's not really what I used. I just carried MCT oil powder with me, and that was just the easiest thing. I mean, I know Chris has done videos talking about MCT oil being negative on his blood work situations,
Yeah.
but knowing that it wasn't for me to take for 100 days straight, I felt
Right.
comfortable and confident that using the MCT oil powder was the ideal choice for that scenario.
Yeah, moderation is key.
Yep. Unless it's butter at a Mexican restaurant. I see Tray Food Deluxe Incorporated said for
Uh,
the tortillas, that is highly probable. It
I
was
know it would
probably for the tortillas. But they
yeah,
also did it with sopapillas.
okay.
So I could
Yeah.
be,
I
you
mean,
know.
butter, it would be great. There's so many things I could think of to put butter on. I just have never experienced a Mexican restaurant that served butter that I can remember, and it's just like, maybe that restaurant was, like, before its time, like, they've cracked the code on deliciousness. Mexican
It's
food plus butter.
probable. I mean, like in my mind's eye, I could play it like a video walking through that entire restaurant, like each of the different rooms,
Oh,
walking up the little ramps from one room space to the next room space, doing big dinners with, like grandparents and stuff, sitting in the big circle booth where you try to cram like 16 people for where like 7 people should sit, that kind of thing. All of that is very well imprinted on my brain. That and eating pats of butter off of wax paper. It
wow.
was a great childhood.
It sounds fantastic. Okay, Chris Bear has a question for us.
Oh, yay, questions.
Since we love our children more than those that send their kids to public school, something we often say,
Naturally, because we have so much judgment for all.
that's what people tune in for on our channel.
That's our
Um,
hot takes.
do you start school after a summer break on a schedule, or does the fun never stop? Clearly, the
Can't
fun
quit.
never stops.
Can't quit.
But actually, we were just discussing this before we hit the go live button, and we both have different approaches.
Approaches.
So, Lindsay, you want to share what you guys do?
Our first day of school after a summer break is going to be next Monday, the 19th. And I'm excited about it because there's a lot of fun things that we get to do this year that I'm
Mm,
like, ugh. We get to dissect all kinds of critters.
mm,
And we're looking forward to it. Molly is less like into it than Caitlin and I are.
okay.
Caitlin really wanted to dissect a baby shark or a baby pig.
Mm,
And unfortunately, neither of those two are part of the different specimens that I purchased. But we might choose to supplement with a baby shark or a baby pig,
dang.
which Molly will probably run and hide from the baby pig because she loves pigs. But
Oh.
I feel like the best way to toughen your kids up is to say, like, look at this creature and cut it open and say, investigate.
Yeah, well, we live on a farm, so that just happens naturally for us.
We have to create our own natural
Right,
opportunities with
right. With
synthetic ones.
child.
But so we're excited to start. And we do not follow the school schedule precisely. Like, I will give us a Thanksgiving break because sometimes we travel down to see my family, sometimes we travel to see Jared's family. So I like to just sort of like take a brain break there. But the school system around these parts have so many in-service days, so many like random 3-day weekends, et cetera, et cetera. We don't do any of that mess. Partly because my brain will glitch dramatically if I have to like stop us for a few days and then get us back on track.
Right.
And then I don't know if we'll take a spring break. We'll just take like a couple of days off around Easter.
Mhm.
So we try. My heart's desire is that we start somewhere in the middle of of August and finish by the beginning of May.
Okay.
So that way
Okay.
we have like a solid most of May all the way through the summer months
Yeah.
clear
Yeah.
and free.
Yeah. So we do a pretty loosey-goosey approach to our schedule. I also don't really pay attention to the public school schedule. It just doesn't affect us very much.
Right. Yeah.
And so we actually do school through the summer, but since we do a loosey-goosey schedule throughout the year, we basically just don't do school on the days we have other things going on. Other trips or activities. So, like in May, when we all went to Utah for a couple of weeks, we didn't, we took that off of school. And because we do some school throughout the summer, we end up still finishing everything we need to get finished.
Yeah.
And so it works out. So we just basically do school any day of the week, like weekdays that we're home and we don't have any other big things on the
That
schedule
eat up the day.
that eat up the day. So we're not like trying to shove school into a busy day that we have other stuff going on. It just kind of works out. And there's always been times where I'm like, is this really a good idea? Do I need to be more on top of this? But the kids finish the stuff that they need to finish by the end of the year, and it somehow we stay on schedule. Like we
Mm-hmm.
don't fall behind, and most of them are a little advanced, a little farther than their age would suggest. So it somehow
Right.
works out, and it keeps me sane because I'm not like having to, shove school into a day that's already insane, or
Sure. Well,
it works.
and they tend to learn.
Question is the fun never stops
Well, I mean, of course the fun never stops.
because school is fun,
We're
and when
homeschool moms.
you make
Everything is
fun
fun.
whatever you want, you're like, today we're going to the zoo, and that is school. Today we're going grocery shopping and learning about math and budgeting.
That's right. Everyday life situations all are a part of the education process.
It's so true. It's so true. You just kind of do whatever comes along and make it educational.
Yeah. I mean,
And
and
it's
I found that those days that have so much going on, that if you try to cram in as much as possible on top of all of these other like immovable things that you have on the schedule, they don't really learn quite so well.
right. It's like
Usually,
check the box, but really, did you get anything out of it?
right. For us, like whenever we do have extremely busy days, we will go through and say, okay, if we can just touch on math and writing
Yeah.
and work through those things, and then everything else we can kind of like flex a little bit here or a little bit there. And I mean, and reading, they always get their reading done, but that's
Yeah.
not a struggle for the girls.
Yeah, all of my girls, and we'll see if Levi ends up being the same, but we have reading as part of schoolwork up into a point when they discover they like reading, and then there's no stopping them. We go to the
Yeah.
library and they come home with a stack this big, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I don't think I have to worry about that too much anymore. They take care of it on their own. We'll see. We'll see if Levi follows the same
Follow
pattern.
suit.
We will see. He's learning. He's getting there. It's really fun.
You just
You
have to print the words on like the variety of things that he can jump off of so he can like read a sentence as he's leaping over a log.
that is why homeschooling is so great, because you
Yeah,
get to choose to teach in a way that your child actually learns. And
indeed.
I've said many times, I had 4 girls and they were all different in their own special different ways. And then I had a boy and he is just a completely different category, you know? And
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
the idea of teaching Levi things in the exact same way that I taught Renee things, it just doesn't make sense. And when you're in a, large classroom setting, it's like the teacher doesn't have the capacity necessarily to do that
No.
for every child. And so, sometimes people can fall through the cracks, and just homeschooling, your child, first of all. So
It's
you
a blessing and a curse.
are aware of how they learn. Yeah. And then you're able to think creatively about what would be the most effective way to help them learn and grow, and focus on things that they're interested in and all that. So I wouldn't trade it for the world. I know not everyone is in the same place and has the same desires and lifestyle and stuff. So then that's
Mhm.
no judgment. That was a joke at the beginning. We
It
don't
really was.
we have just found what works for us and for our family, and even though it's not easy, we enjoy it.
You know, that word right there, easy, is one that kind of got me a little fired up, and I don't know if we'll have time to go that direction today,
Okay.
but
Okay.
maybe next week we can.
Yeah.
Bec-
You want to give a teaser, like easy in regards to anything in life, diet and exercise?
All the above. Really, the I had been hearing from like quite a few different YouTube creators. If it's not easy, then it's not right.
Ooh.
And
It's
I
real
personally,
easy to go through the drive-through 3 times a day.
so I like
Ooh,
just
I like that.
this constant, like if it's not easy, it's not right.
Mm,
And I got feelings about that, but I don't know.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, now you're gonna get my head spinning, because there's a certain way that I do agree with that, but then there's another certain way that I don't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did we not get into it right? I mean, we got 30 minutes.
We do have 30 minutes.
See if
But
there's any questions
yeah,
here.
are there any other questions that we could
Okay.
answer?
Bonnie says, that she loves the chocolate and gingerbread hot, so
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I definitely would do that. That would be so nice on a nice,
Mhm.
camping morning with a campfire. Oh,
Oh,
Blaze
yeah. Or chocolate mint. I
ooh,
love I
yeah, yeah,
love chocolate mint warm.
yeah, yeah. Julie Blaze says it's a Julia Childs thing, the butter.
Oh,
Uh,
of course.
yeah, yeah, she definitely was a champion of the butter. I feel like if unless you're specifically trying to be vegan or something like that, just those people that make delicious food. They're
Mhm.
like Julia Childs, Paula Deen, those type. I mean,
Jacques Pepin.
you just use butter. Like it's not like, "Oh, I just don't prefer butter. I'm trying to make delicious food, but that doesn't work out for my recipes." No, it's like when you make delicious food, you use butter. Like that you just do,
If you
and
want tasty,
animal
you do
fat,
butter.
different things like that. So it's just like when you go back to the, old-fashioned cooks that weren't necessarily cooking for health, um, because health became this, other thing where it's like, oh, we need to use heart healthy olive oil instead, or, lots of whatever. Be vegan. And when you're just cooking for deliciousness,
Yeah.
you just use animal fats and you just happen to use butter like that. You just do.
Yep. Yep. It's one of those pure, simple little butter fat thing. It's just so good
It's just good.
and
Yeah.
simple.
So I had this realization several years ago, because people, I've been told a lot that my cooking is good. Like people enjoy the food that I make. And
Yes.
I realized that because of like the 80s and the 90s and the margarine and the low fat and all of that, people
Yeah,
just by default don't cook with good ingredients. And so
it's fair.
when they make food from scratch, it's not good because they just by default have canola oil or they use, very low fat things and they'll just because that's just how their, mother grocery shopped and cooked growing up. And so when someone tastes my cooking where I'm not constrained by those things, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're such a good cook." It's so good. And, in my mind, I'm like, "If you would just use the right ingredients, you could be a good cook too." It's like, it's
Yeah,
not hard to make things taste good with cheese and butter and meat.
yeah,
Like,
like
it's
just regular cheese, regular
not.
butter.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's just like, so I sometimes, feel like a little bit of an imposter where I'm like, "It's not that I'm just such a good cook. It's just cooked with
Y'all
good
don't know what good food is.
yeah.
You have lived in a substandard ingredients life.
Yeah, well, and then also people will tend to, um, just go out to eat, where it's
Yep,
like, food at home tastes not great because they're confined to these, blinders in their
sure.
cooking, and so, like, we'll just go out to eat, and I'm like, if you would just use some of the similar ingredients or, higher fat and cheese and stuff like they use
Yeah.
in the restaurants, you could make stuff that tastes as good as restaurants at home, but there's this
It might
idea that
even taste better.
restaurant food is good and home food is bad, but it's like they're not using the same, blinders at the restaurant that you're using at home. And you can
Yeah.
open your mind, expand your ingredient mind.
The moment you did that, I started imagining the Reading Rainbow
Oh, yeah.
opening sequence.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Okay, I feel vindicated. Second data point, I have never seen random pats of butter at a Mexican that Mexican restaurant that you grew up going to it was before its time, and I would like to go there.
Oh gosh, I wonder if it's even there anymore. It was in Dallas, where I grew up. So,
Well, Um, random thing that made me just think of my older brother just went on a trip to St. Paul, Minnesota, which is
okay.
where um, I lived until I was 5 years old, between ages 1 and 5. So I have all these, little child memories of living in St. Paul, Minnesota. And he's 2 years older than me. So it was from 3 to 7 for him. And so he just went there recently and he went, to our old house and walked in. So like went to all the different places like the library that we would always go to. And there was a restaurant that we would walk past in going to the library called the Coop Restaurant. And it's a
Okay.
chicken restaurant, like fried chicken. And I mean, so that was 35 years ago. That restaurant is still there, and he took a picture of it, and it looks exactly the same as my childhood memories, like, the
That's
font,
awesome.
exactly the same, and so they ate there, and he said it was really good, and I was like, "That I mean, they're doing something right," like, 35
Yeah.
I don't even know when they opened,
Yeah.
before, but, like, that it was just crazy that it was like a time capsule, like, out of my past, so,
Right. Whenever you see like something that was childhood memory video
yeah,
in your brain in real life, it's a
yeah.
bizarre thing.
Yeah, and it was like because we moved away from there when I was 5 or 6, and so it's, like, a little bit different than if you just lived there for a longer period of time and you continued to see it as you grew up. I just have these, 5 or 6-year-old memories, then that's it. Like, I haven't been
Yeah.
back since then.
Yeah.
So anyways, totally random off topic, but it made me think of it. Maybe you could find your Mexican restaurant, your butter Mexican restaurant, and maybe it's still there. It does happen.
Maybe. Maybe.
Suzanne says, I used to get in trouble for climbing on the dinner table to eat the butter off my finger when I was when I was a little one back
Listen, when
in
you know what's right, you know what's right.
the and I wonder if kids ever got in trouble for climbing up on the table and eating margarine.
I mean, I feel like they probably would have. because
I'm
I
just
also
thinking,
got in trouble for
did they naturally do that? Did
Oh, I see what
they
you mean.
be like, "Oh, that stuff is so good, I need to climb up on the table and eat it."
Mm,
Ready.
probably not.
I mean, it doesn't sound good to me.
Although if there were sugar packets on the table, I would try to eat those too, but
Yeah,
mom and dad would take those out of my hands immediately.
right, right. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Um, my the person who's or the yeah, the butter monger in our house, I mean, everybody likes butter, but Izzy has gotten in trouble, our dog, a couple of different times for eating an entire, like, you know,
Brick.
yeah, Kerrygold brick of butter.
Did she have to stay outside so she didn't mess the house?
It definitely came back. It definitely came back. And she's done it a couple times. Actually, she did it at Jeff's parents' house when she was, being babysat while we
Oh,
were coming home from our trip. It was, like, the day before we came home, and, my mother-in-law texted me, and she's like, "So, Izzy ate a stick of butter off the counter. Is there anything I should do?" And I was
put her
like,
outside so she doesn't mess the carpet.
"Be forewarned, it will probably come back. She's done this before." She knows what's up. And it'd be interesting to leave out a stick of margarine and see if, she chooses to do the same thing. Or
That would be really interesting because they do try their hardest to make margarine taste good. They put so much
oh,
salt
yeah,
in it to
yeah,
try to draw you in with that.
yeah,
But maybe as an intelligent creature, she would be capable of saying, "That's adjacent to plastic. I'm not going to do that."
yeah, yeah, it's kinda like the, ants won't eat certain processed foods,
Right.
won't even touch it because
Yeah.
they somehow know it's not really food.
Mhm.
Fun times,
And
fun
yet
times.
here we are, overfed and undernourished.
Yeah, seriously. Um Robin says, "I ate butter as a kid. I love the keto at heart kid vibes." Yep. Yep.
Absolutely.
My kids, so a couple of them have, like, licked the butter paper, and they'll want, like, Renee, she'll be like, "Can I have a little bit of butter?" If I'm cooking or whatever. They don't eat, like, lots of it, but what they
Gobs of it.
do eat a lot of is salt.
Yeah.
With the salt, they're just like, and even, Autumn, before I was really in this whole space of salt is so good for us and all that, she would be, sitting on the counter, just licking salt off her hand. They have their little salt rocks from the Redmond
Redmond mine.
mine, and they lick it on them. It's like, and that's
Yeah.
never been me. I've never been like a saltaholic, like my Jeff is for sure.
Mm.
Been that. So to have my kids do that, I was like, what are you doing? So I'm really glad that we have the Redmond salt now, which we've had for, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. We've done the Redmond salt thing.
Yeah.
But so I know that it's healthy salt for them, but I just like, wow, that is so crazy. But they love it. Let's see. Yeah, Blaze says the butter is for the flour tortillas at Mexican restaurants here in Texas. So maybe it's a Texas Mexican thing.
It's
In
highly
Texas.
probable.
Yeah.
It's highly probable. I mean, I don't really remember the tortilla basket so much as I remember tortilla chips, like fried tortilla
Yeah.
chips, as well as pats of butter on the little individual papers.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the pats of butter.
Chris says, came for the hot take, stayed for the judgment. We aim to please. Pause a lot is here, actually made alive. Yeah.
Hi.
Oh my gosh. This sounds good. There was a Mexican chain restaurant in Southern California that had a cinnamon honey butter served with their homemade corn tortillas.
That sounds amazing.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, kids, today is a fun day. No learning will be permitted. Yeah, because learning is inherently not fun. We know this.
And
Yeah.
it only happens in very sterilized, encased settings where you're sitting at a desk
Yes.
with other people of the same age of you,
Bitchy.
regardless of whether they are in the same maturity level or not. And you all must learn the exact same thing at the exact same time and same pace.
It's
Go.
very similar to the truth that healthy food doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
So when we eat a healthy meal, we're not allowed to enjoy it. If we have a fun meal, it has to have no health benefits whatsoever.
And it has to be pure pleasure, and that should be the only thing you should ever want ever
And it
again.
should make you sick. Yeah,
Obviously.
that's how it
But you
works.
should still want more of it even after it makes you sick.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Good. I'm glad we got that figured out.
Got the rules out of the way.
Today, we are learning about inflation and budgeting, along with the definition of wants and needs. Yes, that's the grocery shopping trip. The grocery
Yep.
shopping field trip.
The grocery shopping field trip is purely economics.
Yes, yes. We do an economics class every week.
Yep.
Uh,
Sometimes a couple times if you run out of something that you didn't think you were running out of,
yeah,
that you
they
actually
are
need.
they are living the economics class. I never took it. Yes. Let's see. Sorry, but things that are difficult are not worthwhile in my view. It's very true.
Oh, Chris.
American proverbs. The things I value most are the things that took me the most time and effort to get. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Low carb spin. You guys are awesome and so organized in order to do that. So appreciate anyone who takes on the homeschooling task. Yeah, I would say I'm not so organized, but somehow we still like fumble through it.
I would say that I
You're
can
organized.
I can hyper focus and get it done whenever I've got that mindset.
Mhm.
And so I just sort of like I take hold of that in those times so that whenever my brain goes into chaos mode, I am not fully derailed.
That's great. Yeah.
So, like at the very beginning, whenever we first get the curriculum for our new session, then I'm like, I'm jazzed about it because it's new. So I get all into it. And then I just go ahead and pre-schedule out like everything that it needs to be broken down into. And it
Yeah.
just makes my life so much easier to be like, oh, I did all that I needed to plan for at the beginning. And this is the only thing that I do this with is homeschooling. I
Okay.
don't do it with the rest of my life at all. I fly by the seat of my pants, left, right, center. Homeschooling is the only thing that I have been able to consistently stay on target and organized with.
Oh.
It's the, one of those things where you're like, I wasn't, I'm not just making this decision of my own volition. It's like I was called to do that.
Hmm.
So maybe it's easy, therefore it's right.
Ooh, call back. Yeah, I admire other homeschool moms where like homeschooling is like their hobby that they really enjoy. Like
Sure.
they love going to the homeschool bookstore and like perusing all
Yeah,
the
I
curriculum
do.
and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I wish I was like that. I'm more of a like, we found something that works, we just stick with it. Let's just get it done, like as easy as possible, which is good in certain ways, but then in other ways, I feel like my kids probably miss out because I'm not like super excited about doing all the new stuff, and adding on this and trying this. And
Well, I do think that there is tremendous value whenever it's not something that like takes up all of like your excited energy whenever it's not something like that and you're like, hey, this is just part of life, this is just what we do. And
so
there's a
good.
lot of value in the persistence of just doing what's necessary,
Right.
rather than just saying like, oh, I have to be motivated in order to accomplish something. Instead, you're demonstrating that discipline muscle, like, hey, it's neither good nor bad, it's just
Mhm.
what we do. So
Mhm.
I feel like there's tremendous value in learning that skill set too.
Yeah, and it's kind of like we could hyper fixate on all kinds of different aspects of our lives. Like some women, it's their hobby to, do their hair and makeup and like that's what they love. And they spend
Yeah.
a lot of time and energy on that. Or some people,
Mhm.
just really love a clean, organized house and like that's their
Yep.
passion to set up systems and, always have the, place looking exactly how they want. Like
Sure.
there's so many aspects of our everyday life that we could turn into a hobby. And I feel like for me, I've turned cooking, like the kitchen aspect of
Yeah.
my mom and wife homemaker life. I've turned that into my hobby. Obviously, I
Yeah.
don't spend a lot of time on my hair and makeup. And then we're learning. I don't spend all of my, passion and energy on creating this homeschool program
Sure.
It's like, that's on autopilot, like, I bare minimum. Same with, my hair, like, it's like and, making my bed. It's like, that's not something that I spend a lot of time on. I was like, I do the bare minimum. Um, and we all kinda get to choose like, what we focus on, but it's so easy to feel like I have to reach this level of enjoyment and passion about every part of our lives. And so for some people, like the whole diet food thing is that's not they do the bare minimum and it's like that works out for them. Like
Right.
that's great. Sometimes I wish I didn't want to think about food so much. But they're really passionate about XYZ and that in their life. And that's okay. And we can't spend
Right.
that much passion and energy on every single thing. So to be okay,
Mhm.
and that's where I've gotten
Yeah.
to with the homeschooling. It's like I I look up to women who put lots of time and energy and passion into the homeschooling, but I've realized that it's okay that I'm not
Right.
at that level. That's
Right.
fine. But I can look up to them and learn from them for sure. But yeah, I don't have to be that same level.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's also further instilling the concept that the way one person chooses to live their life is not a direct commentary against how somebody else chooses to live their life.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
that's quite good.
Stuff today. Deep stuff. Um, yes, let's see. Oh, Evelyn is here. Um,
Hello.
and yeah, we still got a few minutes. Um, okay, Pause a Lot has a question about MCT oil. Have either of you tried just half a teaspoon or so of MCT oil in coffee at dairy-free times? It creams the coffee so
Mm.
well with a frother and doesn't add a weird aftertaste. It's not cream, yes, but good. What about you, Lindsay?
I have tried MCT oil in coffee back whenever I felt very dependent on needing coffee, so that was like a lot of years ago. But it must have been like, I don't know, 3+ years ago when I was like, black coffee is actually pretty rad. So
Yeah.
I don't need it. And so because I don't drink coffee with cream in it as frequently, I don't tend to find that I need, like, if I'm going to
You don't
have a
need
cup of
substitute.
coffee, yeah, if I'm going to have a cup of coffee with something in it, it's going to be cream.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do the egg yolk or do the butter thing or do the oil thing. I'm just gonna either drink it black or with a little bit of cream, and that's as complex as I prefer it to be, unless it's like a breve latte.
Mhm.
And then it will be, a full week's worth of cream
Yeah,
in
calories.
one drink.
It's an entire meal.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
it is.
So I have used MCT oil in coffee before, at various points in my diet history, when I've
Yeah.
wanted to be dairy free, and I don't mind it. I agree it doesn't have a bad aftertaste.
Mhm.
That's nice. Like you said, it's not cream, and I'm kind of at the same place.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm gonna have a coffee with something, I just have it with cream. I don't feel like I need to cut out the cream. These days,
Yeah.
I'm having 1 and maybe 2 cups of coffee in a day. Like, I'll have 1 in the morning when I get up, and occasionally I'll have a second mid-afternoon. But that's it. And I'm putting less than 2 tablespoons of cream in each time, 1 to
Mhm.
1.5 tablespoons. And so I feel like that's pretty moderate. If I was drinking coffee all throughout the day and had to put a fourth of a cup of cream in every time, then it'd be like, okay, I need to either find a substitute or cut.
Throttle that.
But I'm happy with the amount of cream I'm using in a day. And so
Sure.
I don't need to, substitute it with something else. Um,
Yeah.
and I have used MCT oil powder more recently. The MCT oil was way back in the day. I used it when we were on Trim Healthy
Trim
Mama.
healthy
I
mama.
used this stuff in coffee and different creamers and stuff. And then back when bulletproof coffee was just first the thing.
Oh,
And so
man.
I tried that where you put in half a stick of butter and a tablespoon of MCT oil powder or MCT oil.
And then you try not to explode your blender
Yes, and then
from
you
the
also
heat.
try not to explode your bowels afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the MCT oil, definitely don't do more than half a teaspoon to start out. When it's the liquid oil, you gotta build up to it. It can be pretty bad. But I never
Otherwise, it will manage you.
that that bulletproof coffee, like, people would say, "Oh, I drink my bulletproof coffee in the morning, and then I'm just not even hungry until dinner time." And I was like, "Oh, man, that sounds great. I'll do that." I drink it, and I'm hungry an hour later, and I was like, "What is wrong with me?"
Yeah.
And so it never
Well,
worked out. It just ended up adding 1,000 calories to my day because I was still just as hungry for the food the rest of the day.
well, and that speaks to a concept that you've shared numerous times. Like you're overfed but malnourished.
Right, there's
And
not the nutrients that my body is wanting.
right, your body says, I need the protein, and there's no protein in pure fat. So it's one of those things.
Work for me. Yeah, so anyways, I did the, like, liquid oil back then, and then more
Mm-hmm.
recently, I've done the MCT oil powder. I have,
Mm-hmm.
um I have the micro ingredients brand. I feel
I
like that
like that brand a
is
lot.
it's really good. It makes the most creamy consistent
Mm-hmm.
coffee, the most like cream that I have found in a dairy-free
Sure.
substitute. Again, it is not cream. It's not as good as cream, but it's as close as possible. So I use it in my dairy-free creamer mix that I have used many times when I've gone dairy-free. But when I'm
Mm-hmm.
not dairy-free, I just do the cream and it
Yeah.
works. But I do think that MCT oil and MCT oil powder are a great substitute if you're trying to be dairy-free. Like it's one of the best. 'Cause there's,
Mm-hmm.
like, nut creamers and different things like that, and it's just those have never done it for me. Never, ever.
It's like
It just makes me sad.
it's just taking your coffee and thinning it out a little bit and like watering it down a bit.
Yeah, it changes the color only slightly, but it doesn't help.
It's not a thing for me either. Like
Apologize to
I've
anybody who enjoys those. It's
yeah.
not my
I mean,
thing.
and I even have a recipe on my channel where it's like, oh, here's my dairy free, version of a creamer that actually like was thicker because I can't remember what I used in it, but at the same time, it's like it's just not where my life is now. I'm happy with the simple. Easy is right when it comes to black coffee.
There you go, teaser for next week. Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of the creamers out there, they're, like, trying to be low fat. And it's
Which
like,
is silly.
yeah, well, yeah. And if you're really trying to make something that's gonna taste as good, like dairy-free, but as good as cream, which is
Yeah.
impossible, but if you're trying to, at least put in the same amount of fat as as cream would have in the serving. And then it
And
may
that's why MCT oil powder works better.
exactly, that's one of the biggest reasons. It's like, you're not gonna take a nut milk and make it taste like cream unless you add fat to it.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Fat
But
is where the
not sorry at the same time.
exactly. I'm saying that facetiously. Uh, all right, let's see. Yeah, truth on knowing what good food is. Like you, the butter. Go for the butter.
Yeah.
Let's see. Timeless Jewel by Deborah is here. Greetings from Naperville, Illinois. Welcome.
Hello.
Chris Bear and Pozzolat are talking about coconut oil in coffee.
That's
I
not the thing
tried
for
that.
me.
I tried that back in the coconut oil.
THM days.
The more coconut oil you eat, the more fat you'll lose. You remember that?
Yep. I
Yeah.
remember that.
There was like the coconut oil diet book. Like I read that, and it was
Yeah.
like eat as much coconut oil as you can.
No.
And
No,
that,
thank you.
yeah, that one didn't work out the way that I had hoped.
Well, I could never consume coconut oil that was unrefined.
Mhm.
It tasted like coconut to me and it
Yeah.
was something I couldn't move beyond. So
I definitely
It's not the
I
business for
don't
me.
mind it too much, but it got to the point where it was like too much is too much, and then my body started rejecting it like, oh, the
Yeah,
flavor. I
yeah.
can I don't mind it as much now. I think enough years have passed. It's the same with coconut flour. Back in the day, it was like coconut flour stuff it tastes just as good as regular, and I was like, okay. And then I started making all kinds of stuff, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? It doesn't taste as good as regular. And I got to the point where I was like, I can't even look at coconut flour. It's so bad. And now I could probably use it in a couple of things here and there, and it would
Sure.
not be the end of the world, but it got to the point where I
Yeah.
was like, I can't even, like, it is so repulsive to me.
Yep. I can only use it if it's mixed with other stuff. It not just like the
Exactly.
only alternative flour. I have to have it with like the oat fiber and the
Yeah.
whey and a variety of different things to make it palatable.
Yes. Da, 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 Blaze is asking, do you know which Mexican restaurant it was?
I don't remember the
I
name of
also
it. Like
don't.
I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it. I know it was like either the late 80s or the early 90s whenever it was the hop in place.
Chris wants the title of Buttermonger. I think you've probably
We
earned it.
shall now W Sabatamanga.
Buttermonger. Yeah, we were at New Seasons Market. We had to go onto the other side of town a couple days ago, and we went to the New Seasons Market that I worked at when I was a teenager, back in the day, before I got married. Anyways, they had all these signs up for the different departments, and there was the cheesemonger and the fishmonger. Yeah,
Love
it
it.
was cute. But yeah, we actually commented. We're like, why isn't there a produce monger or a
A
sandwich monger
meatmonger.
at the deli?
Meatmonger would just be a butcher.
Yeah, exactly. But what makes you a monger? What's a monger?
What's in a name?
We need a definition of the word monger, Chris Bear. Let us know. I mean, I feel like it's like a seller, like you're the seller of like a fishmonger at the market would be the
Like a
person,
merchant.
like a merchant. Yeah, but what's a monger?
I don't know.
Oh,
But we've got the question written down.
apparently there's a book called Buttermonger, teaches you all the old time butter making skills. So maybe it's more of a maker and a seller.
Maybe.
Monger would be someone who actually makes the cheese and then also sells it.
Well, I've written the question down, so I'll have to
Okay.
ask myself
We
that
will
question the next time I'm on the internet
research.
searching for.
So next week we're going to talk about how the only way to live is easy,
Or
and
it's if it's not easy, it's not right.
if it's not easy, it's not right. And we will have the definition of monger for you. So we can see if we can, maybe Chris Bear could be the KetoChow because he creates it and he sells it, if that's really the definition. Is he a
Maybe.
keto monger? Um,
I hear monger and I think miser, you know?
yeah, it doesn't sound like a very nice word, but it doesn't. I can't think of any negative connotations that it should have. It's just a funny word.
It
Siget
is
says,
just a merchant.
yeah. So Siget
Okay,
says,
sorry.
since the kids are leaning towards ahead for the year, any chance they will graduate early? I don't know.
They're done when they're done. Is that valid?
You're asking someone who takes the easy approach and doesn't put a lot of thought and effort into it. We'll see when we get there, I guess. My oldest daughter ended up, working and starting at the community college and then getting married. So there you go. Anything can happen. And that's what I did. I didn't officially graduate. I was homeschooled, by the way. And I just started going to a community college uh, when I was 16 or 17. Um, so I didn't have an official graduation from high school. I started community college, then I got married and started having kids. So there you go.
Yeah.
Question here from Trefu Deluxe. Have you been to Zupans in Lake Oswego? The most fancy butters from overseas that I've ever seen. Okay, so I have. I have a funny story about Zupans, but I have not noticed their fancy butters. I'll have to check that out. I bet they have a buttermonger there that you could ask all these questions to. But my Zupan story about the Zupans in
It sounds like you're saying zoo pants, like a zookeeper would wear.
yeah, like Zoolander.
Are you wearing your zoo pants today?
There was a Zupans in West Lynn, and I got a job there, and I worked there for like 2 days. It was kind of a funny story. I was moving from the west side of town into West Lynn, and I had been working at the New Seasons out in Hillsboro. And I tried to transfer to a different New Seasons and wasn't able to find an opening for me. And so I started looking at other places besides New Seasons, and I applied at Zupans, and I
So you
got the
could wear your zoo pants.
exactly. Um,
Naturally.
they issue those to you when you are hired. Yes. So I got a job at Zupans in the deli, and I worked there for a couple of days, and I kind of wasn't really feeling it, and I was like trying to give it time, but I was like, I'm just gonna go to the New Seasons that's close by and see if there are any openings real quick. And I went in there and talked to the manager, who was an amazing lady. And she's like, we just put 2 cashier jobs up on, and that's what I wanted. And she's like, you're hired, basically right on the spot. You're hired. And I was like, yay. And so I had to go into Zupans and be like, sorry guys,
So about
really
that.
got me. It was like, I like New Seasons better. I'm sorry. Anyway,
Well, so you had to turn in your zoo pants.
I did. I can't wear them anymore. It wouldn't be right.
Oh,
Yeah. So I haven't shown my face in soup hands since then. I've been banned. But now I want
feels
to.
right.
Maybe it's been long enough that they won't remember me and I can go look at their fancy butters.
It might have been enough time
I
passed.
mean,
You
my
know,
picture could be
more.
at the door and they could be looking for me, but sorry guys. Yeah.
It's been more than a score of years. You should be okay.
Well, and then I ended up, working at New Seasons and ended up getting Jeff a job at New Seasons. And he worked there for many, like it's been, New Seasons has been a big part of our family culture, and especially our early married life. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, if I hadn't have just gone in that day and been like, hey, any new job openings real quick? Like what difference? Because the manager that hired me ended up moving to a different New Seasons, and that's where Jeff was hired by her also.
Oh, how funny.
Like, crazy, crazy stuff. And she ended up dying of cancer, which is really sad.
Well, that just took a turn for the.
Yeah,
Thanks, Neely.
so bizarre. But like she was a big part of our, life there, and we went to her funeral and all that. Anyways, we're getting all into all kinds of things here.
The past has been brought forth.
Yes, and we are over an hour, so we
We
should
are.
probably hop off, and we already have our topic for next week. So everyone be thinking about how easy
If
your life
it's not
is.
easy, it's not right.
Yeah. Chris Bear says now he wants the zoo pants.
Same.
Same.
Where do I acquire zoo pants?
And then also Chris Bear would be a salt monger. That's true. That's true.
By all technicalities, you would be a mineral monger.
Chow monger. Yep. That you should put that on your business card. Chris Bear.
I almost think he needs like a tri-pointed hat where he would just adjust it. My hat, it has 3 corners, like on one it would say salt monger, chow monger,
Monger's a lot of things.
buttermonger.
Is monger a verb?
He said that what it meant. He looked it up for us.
Did he? Okay, let's see. Let's close with that. Where is it? Oh, you got it. Monger. Apparently just a merchant. Okay. There is a relative new connotation of monger being someone that promotes something bad, like a warmonger or a fearmonger. New meaning. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So merchant. That makes sense. So, yeah, you're definitely a KetoChow monger and definitely a salt monger.
Well, or a mineral monger at large.
I'm currently an egg monger.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
What
right.
would one call that? Like, is there some better word than just egg?
I mean, a chicken egg. They're chicken eggs.
Well, sure.
Wow.
An
No, no.
ovamonger?
Yeah,
Ovamonger?
that sounds kind of bad.
We're just trying things. We just try things,
Yeah,
and if it doesn't work out, then we let it go. That's what
exactly.
good homeschool moms do. You just try things and then move on.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. That's exactly right. If we had to have it all figured out how we were gonna do it all 18 years of the school process, no way.
Nope.
No way. All right. Well, we have been on here long enough.
Thank you
You've
for being
thrown
here.
out there for everybody. They've probably got enough to work with at this point. And we will see you next week, same time, same place.